All right, so we are back with another episode of the U vs. U podcast. I'm your host, CARSON COULTER, and we got our co-host, Pierre Newton. What's good?
What's good, man? Back at it again. Let's do it.
Back at it again. We're up early this morning. It's like 6:30 a.m. But today we're joined by the Marquette big man, forward, Oso Ighodaro.
Yep.
Did I say that right? Cool. Good morning, man. Thank you for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So kind of how we do it on this podcast, as some of the viewers know, we just get right into it. So kind of tell us about your upbringing, your childhood, where you're from. Just introduce yourself.
All right. So I'm from Chandler, Arizona. Been here my whole life. I grew up, went to a private school in Ahwatukee. My mom worked there, so that's where I went.
Ahwatukee, how far is that?
Like 25 minutes.
25 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been here my whole life. I think Arizona's the best state. Yeah, I grew up with just me. It was me and my sister. The big focus growing up was school, so I didn't start playing basketball till high school. So I just growing up, it was just all school. Played soccer a little bit. Yeah, soccer, track, and then that's about it.
Dang, that's interesting. I didn't know that you didn't start hooping until high school. So talk about that then a little bit. Like, was it your parents said no sports, all school, or was that kind of your own decision? You didn't have any interest, or?
I had interest for sure. My dad just wanted me to focus on school, make sure that part of the setup was like I was really good at school, to make sure that when I started playing basketball, I could focus on both and still be good at both. So, yeah, he didn't let me play basketball, but he would still work me out like on the weekends and stuff, and so I got better that way.
You know what's funny about this is like a lot of, because you're Nigerian, right? A lot of like African parents are like super big on school. Was that like something that he just brought from like being Nigerian? Like, hey, we're gonna focus on school. We're gonna focus on this.
It was like non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna get straight A's.
Yep.
You're gonna do the right
Yeah.
things. But I mean, it's helped me, and it's
Yeah.
helped me so much in high school and college, just not having to worry so much about school.
Yeah.
So yeah, that discipline early on probably helped out big time. So then obviously talk about hoop. Who got you into hoop? You said you played soccer a little bit. So where did the interest in basketball come from?
Yeah, my dad played basketball. He played at NAU, and we would always watch basketball together. I loved it. I wanted to play when I was younger, but he had other plans for me. But it worked out. So, but yeah, I always loved basketball. I loved watching it. Loved watching LeBron, like all those guys. So
Who did you watch then when you did watch it?
yeah, it was always LeBron, Damian Lillard. Those two guys I watched all the time. Yeah.
Awesome. So then you started, was high school the first time you were like on an actual team?
Mhm.
Freshman year? Did you play any other organized basketball before that?
I had played like one season in like the YMCA rec league or whatever.
Come on now.
That's Pease League,
That's where the real development happens, though. People laugh about it, but like you need those game reps, and the confidence comes like playing in the Y, and like it helps.
Rec league. It wasn't even like real, like not matching jerseys, all that stuff. But yeah, my freshman year was the first time playing on like an actual team, and it was completely different than anything I had done before. So.
Yeah, how was that change then? If obviously going from the rec league, mismatched jerseys, to freshman squad, and it's organized, you have practice, coaches are on your head, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was lucky to have a good high school coach. I had Gino. I know Pete knows Gino, but yeah. So freshman year went in there in the summer, just started playing pickup basically, and Coach Gino he loved my game. He put me on varsity, even though I probably wasn't ready to play varsity, but I think he saw something in me that he wanted to develop me and get me that experience early. So.
Yeah, I think that says a lot about a coach as well, because even if you felt ready, I know it was probably huge for you to be on the varsity squad and realize like, oh, I need to improve a lot. So talk about, you were the only freshman on that roster. Did you have a growth spurt, or were you 6'9" freshman year?
No, I was like 6'3" freshman year. I grew, and then by the time I finished high school, I was around 6'9". So.
Talk about like, is your dad tall, and your mom too?
Yeah, my dad's 6'9", my mom's probably 5'9", so they're both up there.
And then talk about your development with soccer. How did it help you, like with basketball? Were you actually a good soccer player, or was it just like you were just out there running around?
I was nice. When I was in like 3rd grade, I played on the 8th grade team, and yeah, it was nice. But my dad, he would train me in soccer and basketball on the weekends, and I would say it definitely helped me with my footwork, because when I started playing basketball, I was definitely raw, but I had good footwork and good like touch. So I think that came from soccer.
Yeah. We talk about that all the time. Playing 2 sports, like kids try to focus on one sport so
Way too
early,
early.
way too early, bro. Like you ran track too. So I see that in your game, the stamina, being able to run, being able to jump, athletic, the footwork. So kids keep playing multiple sports.
100%. And then talk through like your high school journey. So freshman year, I did a little bit of research. So freshman year, like you said, you're the only freshman on varsity. And then sophomore, did you get more playing time on varsity? Did you start? Like, talk about kind of the progression through the years.
Freshman year, I didn't play at all. I played JV, and then I sat the bench on varsity, and I actually got hurt my freshman year. So I broke my finger, and I was out like this whole second half of the season. And so then I came back sophomore year. I played. That was my first year playing AAU, and so I played with Arizona Power. So it was like me, Dalen, Ty, like all these guys. Yeah. So I barely played on that team, but the experience of like traveling and playing good competition definitely boosted my confidence when I came home. So sophomore year, I played a little bit more. I actually started probably like 10 games that year. I probably shouldn't have, but Gino he was pushing me like continue.
I would say, when you say you shouldn't have, was it just like your own confidence level wasn't there, or your skill level? Was there other better players?
No, I think so. DV's always had a good team. We had a crazy roster my sophomore year. We had Wesley Harris, Elijah Gamage. I don't know if you know him. Tyreek. We had all these guys that were really good players, and I was gonna get there, but I wasn't there my sophomore year. But Gino just kind of threw me out there, and I'm a high IQ player, so like I fit in with my IQ, but I wasn't their skill level. So, but he threw me out there, and that helped a lot. And then junior year started the whole year, and then senior year, obviously we went crazy, won state. So
Yeah, you won state, and saw in that game you had like 32, 11. Like 6 blocks or something.
Yeah, I was getting money. Yeah, it was like a fairy tale ending to end my senior year, right before COVID shut everything down. So yeah, that was perfect.
So when was COVID year?
My senior year.
Oh, it was.
So we won state, went to school for that week, went on spring break, and never came back to school. Yeah.
Wow. So then talk about so at AAU. I just want to know when like the recruiting started happening. What year was that?
I think I got my first offer at the beginning of my junior year, so before my junior year started, and then I got all like low major offers, and then probably like my 8th or 9th offer I got Stanford, and after I got Stanford, then high majors started recruiting me.
Yeah. Who was your first offer?
Montana.
Yeah. Shout out to Big Sky.
It was actually crazy because I got the call, and I was like pretty sure he offered me, but I wasn't sure because he said like we'd love to have you here or something like that. So I was like do I post it now? Like what do I do? So then I called my AU coach. I know I think I called Gino, and I was like I think they just offered me, but I'm not sure. And they was like, yeah, they did. So I posted it, and yeah, that was it.
So did you posted that, and then is that kind of usually how it works? Is you get one offer, and then colleges start seeing like, all right, who's this guy?
Yeah, I think colleges start realizing that if another school is recruiting you, he's probably gonna be at the Division I level at some point. So they're more willing to offer after that. So yeah.
This is one of my biggest, probably like, I wouldn't say like negatives about coaches, but it kind of rubs me the wrong way that it takes them seeing one of their peers to offer a kid to really start evaluating. And we talk about this all the time, like some coaches really don't watch film that much, and it's like the film was there, the skill set was there, but it took Montana to be like, nah, this kid can play. Now the other schools are starting to watch. Like you said, Stanford offered him, and now the high majors are like, okay, this kid can play. And I think that needs to change, man. Like that needs to change. It's been like that though for years, like forever.
I think it's also tough because like you're recruiting these kids who are 14, 15, 16, it's like you don't really know what they're gonna be. So I think it can be hard to tell how good a kid's gonna be, but I don't know. You just kind of have to like stick your neck out there and take a risk.
Can you tell, like, kind of piggybacking off that point, can you tell when a coach is like just basically offering you because another school offered you and just kind of using their, like, if a bigger school came in and was just like, we'd love to have you, but they're just trying to scoop you from a smaller, like, low major school?
Yeah, I actually had a funny story. I was gonna put a certain school, I won't name it, but I was gonna put a certain school in my top 5, and just because I'm a hometown kid, you know, I guess that kind of gives it away. But I remember I was on the phone with the coach, and he was like, "You played great this weekend." And I was like, "I didn't really think I played that well." So I was like, "Which game were you at?" And he like started stuttering, like he wasn't even there. Like, so like these coaches just, I don't know, recruiting it's kind of fishy because I feel like they lie, they tell you what you want to hear, but at the end of the day, like you have to trust these people with your future. So I don't know. I remember I didn't put that school in my final schools because of that. So
Yeah. I was going to say, I want you to kind of, because we talked about at a workout, I think that was earlier last week or something, but you had mentioned if a coach says they're going to guarantee you play time at a school, run away. So talk about, like, how to fish out, give advice to some younger players in that situation that are getting all this interest. Like, how do you fish out what questions to ask, or what do you wish you could have done different?
yeah, I think it's kind of tough because the question you want to ask coaches, am I going to play? But coaches can't promise you playing time. You have to earn that. And if a coach is telling you or promising you they're going to play, then that kind of says something about the school, because what do you think they're telling other kids? So it's like you just gotta realize that and kind of pick through the fake stuff that you're hearing and just really try to ask questions that. And it's tough because as a kid, you're like 16 years old. You don't know what to ask, but I think anytime you're in high school and those people come back from college and the coach is like, give them some advice, like really listen, because these people, like, they've been through where you're at. So, yeah.
And then, because we talked about that on that one of those first episodes that we tried to get about the questions you would ask, and you were kind of saying, like, what other players are you recruiting, and things like that. So that's huge.
And I was gonna just piggyback off that. Like, I think a lot of it came from like your dad and like the focus of like education and like your mentality and stuff. And you talked about it a little bit, but like you had to focus on school. And I think a lot of kids probably lose that because they're so focused on sports. But then when the real questions start to happen with recruiting and stuff, you don't know what to ask because you're so focused on basketball. As for you, you were focused on education, you were focused on the right thing. So like you kind of came in with a maturity level of like, all right, well, I'm gonna ask these questions. If these answers aren't there, I'm not going to your school. And I think a lot of kids need to kind of focus on that. And
Yeah, for sure. But even me, I didn't know what to expect. I probably chose Marquette for the wrong reasons, but it worked out for me. But yeah, I think definitely just the relationship with the head coach is really important, because that's the person that's gonna put you on the floor. Like, assistant coaches recruit you, and that's huge, but the head coach is the only one that can make that decision at the end of the day. So that the location and how they play the offense is really important.
so important. But you got to watch film and know how teams play, though.
But kids don't do that, though. You would never know that, but you really have to. If you're in high school and getting recruited, I think you should really watch film, and like if you see yourself in that system, then.
I'll say, because you talked about that too, is like, is this school known for developing small guards or centers or whatever your position is? People are just hearing that big high major stamp and they're like, oh, I'm gonna go here.
And the proof is there. You look at the stats, you look at the film, everything is there, right? But people don't look at it. People don't look at it.
I bet you probably over 50% of kids choose schools for the name and the gear. I bet you. You can't count that, but the name and the gear weighs so much to high school kids when it's really, that decision can really mess you up or put you on the trajectory to go to the NBA. So
that is crazy. The shiny stuff, man, that'll get you on the wrong path. But I want to get you back on the recruiting side of things, because obviously you chose Marquette, and I know the Howards, so they obviously went there, and it sounded like they had you had a relationship with them. So did they influence that decision pretty heavily, or was that kind of made on your own? Were they in your ear? Kind of talk about the decision to go to Marquette.
Yeah, they never like told me to go there or pressured me, but it was definitely nice getting an inside look on the program, and I could tell they really loved the program and they trusted the people there. So that definitely impacted me because I trust them and I love that family. So that helped for sure, just having an inside look. But yeah, I think the people at Marquette is really why I went there. Just the staff, the people, like the support staff, the players. Like on my visit, I just felt at home, so that's why I went there.
Yeah. Where else did you visit?
My final 4 schools was Marquette, Texas, Vanderbilt, and Stanford. So those were like my main schools.
Yeah, and then how were you like in between schools, or after the Marquette visit was like, all right, I'm going here?
Yes, so I was in between Texas, Stanford, and Marquette. Those were really the 3, and so I narrowed it down to Texas and Marquette. And I actually got on the phone with the assistant coach, and I was like, I think I'm going to go to Texas. And we were on the phone for like an hour and a half. And after the phone call, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go to Marquette. So it was crazy, but yeah, shout out Stan Johnson. He's a great recruiter.
I would say, what was he saying? He
was asking me these questions, like making me answer it. He was like you want to go to a football school or a basketball school? I was like, basketball. He said, you want to play in the NBA arena or a college arena? I said, NBA. So, like, all these questions just setting me up for me to choose it. So, yeah, so I chose Marquette, but I really wanted to play for Shaka at Texas. So then when I got to Marquette, the staff was fired after my first year, and then they hired Shaka. So, like, God works in, like, crazy ways. So it all worked out. So I got the head coach I really wanted to play for in the school I wanted to be at. So it worked out.
Yeah, because that's kind of next is getting to college, and right when you got on campus, you didn't play a ton your freshman year. Was that expected? I mean, what was your mindset during that? Like, did you go in there thinking like, all right, back to it, 30 minutes a game, or did you kind of know you were going to be sitting on the bench?
Yeah, I thought I was going to play for sure. I thought I was going to be on the court, but I got there and I wasn't playing as much. But I think high school kind of prepared me for that, just sitting my freshman, kind of my sophomore year. Just I was willing to sit and learn and get better. So I wasn't like, I think a lot of kids freshman year, you get there and it's tough. Like every freshman thinks they're going to play more than they actually play. So it's tough when you get there and it's like a reality check that these guys are grown men and they've been here for a while. They're going to play. So I got there, and then I actually got hurt my freshman year, and I was out the whole second half of the season. And, like, the 2 people in my position, it was Justin Lewis and Theo. They both got hurt, so I could have been playing, but I got hurt as well. So it was unfortunate. But
what was your mental during that then? Were you just upset at everybody else, or, like, were you frustrated?
No, it was tough for sure, but it was kind of a dark time. It was during COVID. We were staying off campus in a hotel, so all online classes, didn't see anybody. So I was in my room basically all day, and it was just, just me and my thoughts. But, yeah, my teammates my freshman year definitely helped because our team was close, and that helped for sure. I knew everyone was going through the same thing, so, yeah.
And then you got something to add?
I'll say, talk about like your work ethic, because I've had a chance to work with you and see like the work you put in, how hard you work out. Is that something that you've always had, or was that something that you developed kind of like through injuries? Kind of talk about your work ethic and how that developed.
I think I've always worked hard. I've always been in the gym, but I think especially after my freshman year, I really started to figure it out and really get in the, like, I was in the gym, but I think it's like a different, being in the gym and then being in the gym with a purpose are like 2 different things. And I think I really started figuring that out, working out with people at home and just realizing that there's another level I can take it to. And I think when I really started working out with that intensity and at that level, it really helped me take my game to another level.
Because we can tell the difference, obviously. We're with you the last couple weeks, and just how hard you go and your focus, too, on the workouts is because we got some other players that were just like they're just going through the drills, going through the motions and stuff.
But that's a skill set, like learning how to work out with a purpose. I mean, you can be doing strength training and just be in the gym lifting, looking at your phone, lifting a little bit, but it's different when you have purpose and you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing and how hard and the intensity behind it. And I mean, you see it in your game, like the progression is there, the development's there, but it's a skill set to be able to have purpose and like know what you're doing and how to do it.
Yeah. Did you have a welcome to college moment where you just somebody like totally just babied you or dunked on you, or you were like maybe after long ass practice and you were like, damn man, this is tough?
Welcome to college. I would say, I think when I got to college and the players would like joke in the locker room about like 3-hour practices like in the preseason or whatever. It's crazy. And I remember thinking like it's whatever. I'm gonna be fine. But then when you really get in those practices and I think the difference is between high school and college is like every college practice is 10 times harder than even a high school game. Like I think every single practice is like war. Like you're going 100 miles an hour, you're going full out for the entire practice. So I think adjusting to that, how hard you're going and everything you do is probably welcome to college. Like you just have to get used to that.
Because you got 15. Is it 15 dudes on a?
It's like 12 scholarship guys and then walk-ons after that. Yeah.
Everybody's competing for playing time, so that's when, like you said, it's war. So I want to talk about the Big East a little bit because I know you got some pride in the conference you play in. Why do you think that it's such a tough conference? And kind of talk about why you think it's one of the better conferences in college basketball.
I think the Big East is I feel like it's a perfect mix of like IQ, just like passion for basketball, how hard everyone plays. It's just, I feel like it's a different kind of league. It's physical. It's all defense. I don't know. It's just, if you watch Big East games, I feel like every single game, even if you're playing one of the worst teams in the conference, it's competitive. So it's like, I think top to bottom I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I think it's the best conference and it's the most competitive. I mean, you saw in the tournament this year, we had 4 or 5 teams go pretty far. So, and the champion was Big East team. So, you know, I know Pete don't agree with me, but
no, I do agree with you. It's funny because we talked about like what kind of guard I would be, like what conference I could play in, and I'm more like an SEC guard, you know, maybe Pac-12. Now Big East is definitely one of the best conferences. I mean, you look at UConn, look at Marquette, even like St. John's now with Rick Pitino. Who else is nice? Creighton, Xavier. Like it's a great conference.
How long has Creighton been in the Big East?
I think for a while. I mean,
they've been there for a little bit.
They've been there for a while.
Man,
Yeah.
I don't know where I've been.
You've been in South Dakota.
True. That's where Creighton's right there too. I should be knowing. But I kind of skipped over a question I want to ask. The coaching change. I know you mentioned Shaka was the coach you wanted to play for anyways. But being a freshman, being recruited by an entirely different coaching staff, when they got fired, did they hire Shaka like right away?
No, it took like a month. I think it was like a month.
So did you have any thoughts of, all right, maybe I'm out of here?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was an interesting month for me. I was thinking like I have people texting me these schools or want to talk to you. Da.
Are you still hurt?
Am I still hurt?
Like the season's
Oh
over?
no, I'm healthy now. So I'm healthy, and they bring Shaka in, and he basically cleans house, except for it was me, Justin Lewis, and Greg Elliott. There's 3 of us.
Okay, I want to pause you because I want to talk about this because this just recently happened to somebody else we know. When a new coach comes, do they literally tell guys like, you should enter the transfer portal, you're not going to play? Like, how does clearing house work? I know how it works with coaching staffs and stuff, but for players, does he literally say, yo, my system isn't going to work for your play style?
I think, so with Shaka, he's a very honest coach, and he'll tell you to your face. He's just real. I think that's why I respect him so much. But when he got there, he went and visited everyone in their home states and was like telling us, like he just went and visited. He flew to everyone and talked to them, and just to see how they're feeling, see where their mind's at. And then we got back to campus, and we had like a couple weeks of workouts. And it was only a couple of us left because some guys transferred already when they hired him. And so those workouts were crazy. But yeah, so then he had meetings with everyone in his office, and he basically just told them like, he was real. He said, "I don't see you like playing very much," or I don't know how exactly he said it, but he didn't say it to me. But yeah, but I think he was very genuine with these people, and I think that's important because I don't think in college that happens very much. I think people lie, tell people what they want to
It
hear.
would almost be worse if he were to say, like, you should stay, and then basically cook their futures and not play them at all and just waste their time, essentially.
I love that he hopped on a plane. That lets you know how serious he was. Hopping on a plane, going to people's home states, and he's walking into like their parents' crib and talking to them and having these real conversations. That's a real coach.
Yeah, I respected that for sure. And yeah, we got back to school, and then so I had a week of workouts where it was just me. I was the only guy left because Justin and Greg were hurt, and everyone else had transferred or they had left. And so these workouts were crazy. Like, I think they were really trying to test me. It was all the coaches in there and me. And like I remember I walked in, and the very first thing they did, they put 2 basketballs on the blocks, and they said just dunk as many times as you can. I dunked like 70-something times, and I was so gassed. And that was just the start of the workout. And after 2 of those days, I told the coaches like I need a day to like decide if I want to be here, and because I didn't want to go through this crazy week if I was going to transfer. So I took the day. I really thought about it. I thought about my options, and I was like, then I texted coach and I said I'm 2 feet in, and I finished that week of workouts, and then from there I was just fully committed to
What went into that decision of being 2 feet in? Did you kind of reevaluate the schools that you were talking to at the time and just decided you want to stay there?
Yeah, I talked to my family, and I was just really trying to decide, like, is this going to be the school for me? Because I didn't know we only had 3 scholarship players, so I didn't know who they're going to bring in, recruit, and if I was going to get playing time or whatever it may be. Because I'm coming off a freshman year where I didn't play at all. So these coaches he recruited me in high school, but these coaches have never seen me play for real. So I wasn't sure, but I said I was 2 feet in. I got a lot better that summer, and then I had a good season.
All right, so I want to talk about. I've always been curious about this, the media, being at a big school, obviously, and I don't know if you guys can hear this, but we're at a park right now. We're at a public park. We got some people playing hockey on a basketball court, so I don't know if you'll hear that, but just in case. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Media, being at a big school, you go from just being a high school athlete to now in front of a ton of cameras, a whole media room, post-game, all that stuff. Let's talk about that. Were you media trained? Did they just throw you in it and say, hey, don't say anything stupid?
I don't. We talk about the media a little bit, but I wouldn't say media trained. But I think you just realize that whatever you say is gonna be, people are gonna hear it. And I think another thing that especially my team realized this year is like anything that other teams would say, our coaches would use like for kind of like motivation. So if a team said something disrespectful after a game or whatever it may be, teams are going to use that. And then if you take that in other aspects, if you say something that you shouldn't, like recruiters or people from the NBA will see that. So I don't know. I think if you realize and you want a future, I think you just kind of have to be smart with what you say because it's going to go everywhere.
And do you ever, especially if you say some stuff and then you're about to go travel and play there, you kind of got back it up. So has somebody said something crazy and then came into Marquette and all of you know about it?
Yeah, so last year, I wonder if I'll get in trouble for saying this, but so last year we played Providence at Providence, and it was like a double overtime game. It was a crazy game, like 100 to 104 or something like that. They beat us, and after the game they started grittying on the court, they were just dragging, and So our coaches, they clipped those videos, and then in the film room before we played them again at home, they played those videos. It was like we're all just watching it and like, wow, like that's wild. So then we beat them at home or whatever. But it's just like little stuff like that. Like if you're disrespectful or you drag, I mean, people are gonna notice it, and especially if you play that team again, it's kind of, you just have to be careful.
Crazy. But I want to talk about another thing I want to mention is the transfer portal, because that is going crazy right now. P and I talk about that a lot. Like, it's basically free agency at the college level. People are just putting their name in there, seeing how much money a bigger school is going to give them. Have you any thoughts about entering the transfer portal last year, or just kind of give your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I haven't thought about entering the transfer portal this year, but there's for sure people that will like text you, or people that try to like get you to consider it because of money at other schools. And I don't know, I think it's kind of a dangerous game because people are going to these schools for money, and they're putting together these teams of 7, 8, 9 transfers, and you have no like culture, no like identity. And I think if you want to win in college, I think that's what you need. And I think that these teams full of transfers, they'll probably get some wins, but I guarantee you that a team that like has built something together will win a national championship, and that's ultimately my goal. So,
No, that's a good point. I didn't really think about that. It's just they're just kind of throwing these guys together and just tossing basically a pickup team that are worth a lot of money and just hoping that they can play well, not even thinking about if they fit, just big names.
Just wild to think about, like, in college now it's a 1-year contract. You're basically going to college for that 1 year, playing, and then the next year you're almost reevaluating your future.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of kids should really think about, is like, you want to develop, you want to build culture with a team. You don't want to just keep bouncing around. But again, that's that culture that we built already with AAU. It starts at the youth levels. Kids bounce around teams.
Where does that come from then? Because does that come from Shaka kind of saying that to you guys? Like, hey, if you want to transfer, whatever, but this is kind of what we're trying to build here? Or is that kind of your own decision?
No, I think as a team, we really take pride in the culture that we built this year. I think it started my sophomore year. We were getting there with the culture, but it wasn't where it needed to be. And then I felt like some of the older guys left, and it was really like this young core that we took the team this year and it really made it ours. And we made the culture something that we really took pride in. And we, like, if you watch any of our players' interviews throughout the season, you'll hear something about relationships or connected or stuff like that comes from our culture. And we take a lot of pride in that, and we feel like that's why we won.
That's dope. I feel like a lot of teams, like we just said, can't relate to that. So last thing I kind of want to wrap up with is you've been on some draft boards, and you've obviously made it clear that you're going to be returning to Marquette. What went into that decision of going back to Marquette rather than, I mean, a lot of players, if they're here, they're about to get drafted and go to the league and fulfill their lifelong dream. They're going to jump to that. So what was your decision to kind of stay in college, stay developing for another year instead of, chasing the draft?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that went into that decision for sure. I would say, first off, those draft boards don't, these people on Twitter, or these analytics people, they can say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, the NBA decision makers are going to be picking players. So I don't necessarily trust those draft boards. And I was projected like late second round, which doesn't. It's a little risky, I feel like, in some of those second round situations because it's not guaranteed contracts or whatever. But also, I really wanted to win. We feel like as a team we didn't accomplish what we wanted to this year. We won a Big East championship, regular season and the tournament, but we wanted to make a tournament run in March Madness, and we felt like we had more to give, and we're returning almost everyone next year, so we felt like we had a chance with that. So I don't know, just talking with my family and coaches, and just I really want to be with my game. I want to be as confident as I can before I enter the draft, and I feel like there's still stuff that I want to work on and get better at, so that when I enter the draft, I'm 100% confident in who I am and my game. So
Talk about some things that you want to work on for next season, and then also what you want to show, I guess, NBA scouts in.
yeah, for sure. I wanted to take this summer to make sure my jumper's where I want it to be. We spent a lot of time on that. I just want to improve my ball handling, finishing. I wanted to get bigger, get stronger, just everything that I do well, just continue to improve so I can amplify it like during the season and find success. So.
You got anything else to add?
No, I think this is a great episode.
Another good episode.
Yeah, appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah, that was big time. P called me yesterday, not even, probably less than 24 hours ago. I was like, hey, I think we're going to get O in the morning, 6 a.m. I was like, all right, let's do it. But we're going to do part 2. I'm calling it now. We're going to pull up to Marquette, come to a big game. You guys got a big schedule this year, right?
Yeah, we got some crazy games.
Yeah, so we're gonna come out there, maybe do a part 2, little all access. But
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My boy, Ho.
All right, we're out of here.